Tim here with the Nerdy Things Podcast with another edition of Tim Movie Minutes, just minutes after the movie. And even though I am in Star Wars land, I didn't see Star Wars yet. That's later this week. What I just saw is The Disaster Artist, starring and directed by James Franco. This is a movie about maybe the worst movie ever made, The Room, that was starring and directed and produced and financed and everything by Tommy Wiseau. If you're familiar with The Room, you know that it has this reputation for just being pretty much the worst thing ever made. And this movie is just as absurd because it is a biopic, I guess, about the making of the worst movie ever made. And in this particular film, even the smallest part is played by a recognizable actor. So it's incredible that, 15 years later, after The Room came out in 2003, 15 years later, there's such a, I don't want to call it an appreciation, but there's such a to-do about that movie that you've got major actors playing minor roles in a movie about a crappy movie. It's incredible. I mean, part of that is the fact that a lot of these are just kind of James Franco's friends, and Dave Franco's brother stars in it. Dave Franco's wife, Alison Brie, stars as his love interest. Obviously, Seth Rogen's in it. You know that's going to happen. You had Josh Hutcherson in there. You had, everybody was in this movie. It was crazy. And a lot of it has to do with James Franco. This is his passion project. But there is this certain kind of admiration, I think, and that's what comes through in this movie for Tommy, that we don't know anything about this guy. He has millions of dollars to make a movie, a $5-6 million movie budget that he paid for himself. We don't know where he comes from. We don't know where he got that money. But after seeing this movie, as somebody who wasn't all that aware of The Room, all I want to know in life is, where does Tommy Wiseau come from? How old is he? And where does his money come from? Because those are the big questions about that guy. And we know none of it still all these years later, but people are still watching this movie because it is horrifically bad. And the story behind it is really cool because it starts off with Tommy just being about the most optimistic, passionate, raw guy that you can imagine. And he takes his friend and says to him, or pretty much the only person who wants to be his friend, who understands him, and says, hey, you care about me and I care about you. Let's make your dreams happen. Let's make our dreams happen. And along the way, Tommy's dreams start to get stomped on, and the people around the movie know that he doesn't know what he's doing, and they're set to bail on him, and even his best friend's set to bail on him. But in the end, he achieves it. As bad as it was, he makes the movie. And his friend, in the end, comes back around and says, you know what, Tommy? We did that. Those people in there are hysterically laughing at how bad our movie is, but you know what? We did that. Not many people can say it. So who knows where the money came from, but the passion was there. And now they live today as friends, touring and talking about this movie and still making apparently bad cinema. But this movie is a movie about a movie. But really, it's a movie about two guys that when they're down, they pick each other up. It's a really special friendship, and it was really cool to watch that being played by the Franco brothers and to see their passion for each other and their connection and obviously their dreams coming true. And I have to tell you, it was absurd. The whole thing was ridiculous. If you watch it side by side with the original, they shot by shot recreate in a very authentic way this absolutely terrible movie. But I loved it. I sat there for 2 hours watching these ridiculous characters, and I laughed, and I felt something for them, and I absolutely loved it. And I think James Franco not only did a great job of transforming into Tommy Wiseau, but in a directorial role for him, he got the best performances out of everybody they just cared about the people they were playing and wanted to represent who they were, in the core of themselves as well as possible. So this was a great movie about a really terrible movie, and I think everybody should go see it. And you know what? I was at a 7:25 show on a Tuesday night, and the theater was half filled, which is pretty impressive. So yeah, go see The Disaster Artist because it's freaking awesome. So thanks for checking this out, guys. But as always, congrats on listening.